On March 4th through the 10th at Frederick Municipal Airport, 342 women of all ages experienced their first flight in a small aircraft. 261 of these flights were done on Saturday, March 9th. It was all part of the third annual Women Fly It Forward event that aims to awaken aeronautic vocations amongst girls and women of the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia areas.
How did you hear about today's event?
Well, I knew this was happening, and I'd been in a small plane before, and I'd considered getting my license, and I thought that they'd really enjoy it.
My mom found it on the internet, and she told me about it yesterday, and it was something that I'd always wanted to do, so it was really exciting.
Heard about it on the Frederick County Public School bulletins. We saw it there, and then we signed up on Women Fly It Forward.
We got an email from FCPS about this great event, and you could sign up for it.
I'm a cancer survivor, so I wanted to, it was my first time on a small craft.
Yes, in a small aircraft, this is our very first flight, yes.
That's the first time up in the air.
How was your first flight?
It was wonderful. It really was. The pilot was unbelievable, nice, and explained everything, and the weather was just beautiful. It was like being next to God.
I think they were just amazed by, how small everything was and what they could see and what they learned from being up there.
Yeah, it was like flying over a map because you saw all the little houses and the roofs and the roads.
And the cows,
fields.
right?
Yeah, the cows were like really small and they were like black fleas. Yeah, I flew it because I sit up front, and it was awesome.
It was really cool. I actually had the chance to steer the airplane and actually fly it myself, which I never thought I would be able to do. So it's really interesting, and I am hoping to be able to do it myself one day.
It was fantastic.
It was great. I would recommend it to anybody. It was amazing. We got to see pretty much all of Frederick.
It was awesome.
This year's theme was Women and Space, and on Saturday, March 9th, participants were invited to hear guest speakers Dr. Mamta Nangaraja, the project manager of the Women at NASA program, and Colonel Pamela Melroy, NASA pilot and one of only 2 women who have commanded the space shuttle.
I was a little girl, just like a lot of the little girls here. This is a picture of me when I was 2 years old. My father caught me in the garden wearing his Air Force flight cap, impersonating an Air Force officer. Instead of punishing me for impersonating an officer, instead my parents encouraged me, and they told me I could do anything that I wanted. I don't think my parents had any idea that I was going to become an astronaut. After I saw the first landing on the moon, I knew that's what I wanted to do with my career, and greatly to my parents' credit, they never discouraged me or told me that girls weren't astronauts. They always continued to say that I could do anything that I wanted to do. And I have to say that when I was a little girl and I decided I was going to be an astronaut, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to command a spacecraft someday. I was absolutely sure that I would be an astronaut and that I would be in charge. Some people might say I was a little bossy. But what I didn't know, at the same time, there was another little girl growing up on a farm in Iowa, Peggy Whitson. Peggy and I were in the astronaut corps together for several years. In fact, on her first flight, she was a crew member on the space station. On my second flight, I was on the space shuttle, and so we knew each other pretty well from flying in space together previously. Well, totally by coincidence, not by any plan, but she became the first woman to command the International Space Station at the same time that I was commanding the space shuttle as the second woman to do so. It was the first time 2 women were each commanding spacecraft at the same time in space. It just kind of goes to show no matter how big a dream you have, there is always something bigger to dream for.
But it's really not even about gender. I think it's about you just going out there and doing what you want to do. This is what I always tell young people when they ask me. It's okay to choose a non-science field. You have all these people coming at you and saying, we don't have women in science and technology. This is what you should do. It's okay to not choose that field if you are better at something else and you love something else more. It is not okay to not go into a science or technology, engineering or math field because you think you can't, because you think it's a boy's job, which somebody told me one time. In this generation, people still think this. I thought that was in the past. I thought that was well before me, that persona was out there. As far as women in STEM, which was the second part of Christine's question, I believe, I think it's those of us who ended up with careers going out and talking to girls, going out and just being role models and telling women that it doesn't really matter. Your gender shouldn't play a role in your decision. It's what I told you at the beginning. It should be about you and your interests. It's not really about gender. So I think it's just us going out and telling people, girls and guys alike, telling people what engineering is and letting them ask questions, letting them get their curiosity out.
Guests on Saturday were also treated to the Traveling Space Museum, full-scale and fully functional simulators of spacecraft and laboratory modules. Children were invited to climb aboard the shuttle flight simulator or take a seat in a BD-5 replica jet.
Start engine.
Is that the one you told them not to put?
No, it's one of those.
They could also take a ride in the lunar rover vehicle or learn how astronauts use the restroom in space. Women Fly It Forward is an annual event hosted each year during Women of Aviation Worldwide Week. Thanks to the efforts of local sponsors and the aviation community, Women Fly It Forward has earned its third annual title, the most female pilot-friendly airport in the United States, and fourth place worldwide. For more information, visit www.womenflyitforward.com or womenofaviationweek.org.